Hi, this is Pat Moorhead with More Insights and Strategy, and we are here for another More Insights and Strategy Insider podcast. And our guest today is from Micron, Jeremy Werner. How are you doing?
Hey, Pat, I am great. Such a beautiful day. I'm so happy to be here with you again.
Yeah, I know it's great, and I am honored to be here on launch day. Jeremy, as you and I have talked, I'm an ex-product person. I can't get the product out of me, so I love launch days. And the great thing about my job is I get to be engaged in everybody's launch, or not everybody, but the ones I want to be engaged in. But you announced the 7450 SSD today. But before we jump into that, I kind of want to connect our previous conversation to the one we had around a month ago. And essentially, Jeremy, you had some big ideas about the future of the data center and how storage innovation fits into that. I feel like you made your case, but by the way, if you haven't watched that, go back and watch it. But Jeremy, can you play that back for us and maybe talk about maybe what's changed since then?
Sure. So what we've seen is the acceleration of the adoption of flash optimized technologies in the data center. And this was a trend we talked a little bit about. Obviously, NVMe is a flash optimized interface. For years, we spent time trying to make SSDs look like hard drives and fit into their sockets, whether it was a SATA interface or a SAS interface. And we put them in 2.5-inch bricks and we shoved them into hard drive sockets. And everyone was very happy because their system performance improved. But as people realized and recognized that there was so much more that they could unleash with the power of flash when we designed the interface and the form factor specifically for flash, then we started to see NVMe and now EDSFF, which is a big part of this announcement today that we're supporting as well. And these are really flash optimized technologies. And then I think the other big thing that we've seen since we spoke last is now Gen 4 NVMe adoption continuing to accelerate. Both AMD and Intel platforms are full on in production on Gen 4 NVMe drives in the data center. And so that's an exciting development. And this launch is just perfectly timed for us in terms of catching the market as it's taking off.
Yeah, and you guys have really been on a roll. I mean, first with 176 layer NAND, you're the leader in this. You've launched this into the client computing space, but the question is what beyond that? Now, I might be leading the witness here in that we're talking about the future of the data center, but can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So our 176 layer NAND, it's the most advanced flash technology in the industry. And we've now launched it into our client SSDs. We've announced recently that we released for production our 176 layer QLC, along with client SSDs for that. But this announcement today brings the 176 layer NAND into the data center. Okay. And that is a big development because if you look around what's happening right now, in our industry specifically, and in all industries from semiconductor outward, we see challenges in the supply chain. Inflation is rampant. Everyone's been talking about it. Costs are going up for producers, including us. And everyone wants more. And electronics have been on fire, right? Yeah. I mean, there's so much innovation.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. I mean, we're having fun with all the new toys, but all those toys use a lot of flash. And in addition, there's been some challenges that some flash manufacturers around the world have recently had, and that's had an impact on the amount of supply available in the flash market. And so this 176 layer is critical because we're able to increase the amount of supply as well as improve the performance of the products and counterbalance some of the challenges associated with increased costs in the supply chain so that we can fight inflation like good corporate citizens.
No, I love that. And we have a broad audience here. We have data center architects, we have storage experts. Can you share with the audience why is 176 layers important? What do you get? This is kind of the explain it for people who aren't storage experts.
Sure. So the number of layers of flash really dictates how many bits that you can put on a wafer.
Okay.
And the amount of wafers that we can run through the fab is relatively constant as a vendor in an industry, and it requires a significant amount of investment to increase that. So if you figure, hey, let's just go build a new factory, sure, that's $10 billion. And so what we're able to do is use our existing factories to become more efficient. The more layers that you have, the more bits per wafer. Your wafers are relatively constant, and so we're able to increase supply for the world in that way. Now, in addition, every new generation in technology is an opportunity for us to add new capabilities and features to our products. And so, for instance, our 176-layer flash in our NVMe SSDs that we launched today also improves performance as well. And so, for instance, in our lower capacity drives where you're limited in the amount of NAND per drive, we're actually seeing random read improvements on the order of 100% from our 96-layer technology. Now, at the higher capacity drives, say 8 terabyte, the performance is more muted because there's a lot of flash on the disk, so we can on the drive, so we can run more parallel. But when you're flash limited, this new technology is really going to deliver improved performance for our customers.
Yeah, it's funny how it works. I mean, we're always need more storage. I mean, that's just, it makes the world go around. You and I have probably seen 80 different versions of density of data and where it's coming from, where it's created, how it's transformed. And that just creates a huge opportunity for you. And going from 96 layers to 176 layers essentially means you can put more storage in the same space, and density is improved. And don't ever think that the More Insights and Strategy podcast, we don't try to explain these things.
And we did that today. Actually, that is one of the things that we did today. So with the 7450, we add the 8 terabyte E1S drive, and we add the 16 terabyte U.3 2.5-inch drive. So we are actually increasing the highest capacity in a couple different form factors from our previous generation.
No, I love it. I love it. So, hey, I'm going to hit you right between the eyes here. What makes the 7450 SSD unique? Maybe you can talk about, if I can get you to talk about the single biggest achievement. I know you love the 7450 like you love your children, but if you had to come up with this single biggest achievement and how it's different, how would you answer that?
Okay, well, the single biggest achievement has to be bringing the 176-layer flash to production so early, because really no one else has brought even client SSDs to production with the 176-layer node yet, and we're already maturing to a point where we're able to bring enterprise and data center SSDs to production with this technology. So there's so much that goes into hardening and building up the capability on this technology to bring it into the enterprise and data center, where the expectations are so great in terms of quality, service, et cetera, that I think from just thousands of people working on a problem to bring something together and to do it so far ahead of the rest of the industry, that has to be, I think, the greatest achievement. But if I look at one really cool feature of this product that we're launching today that I think is a game changer. One of the things that we've been able to announce with this product is that for up to 6 nines of latency distribution, we're maintaining the latency under a 2 millisecond maximum. And that is huge because, you know, what we talked about in our prior discussion was how virtualization, containerization, multi-tenant access to these drives is really increasing rapidly. And that means that you have a lot of noisy neighbors all trying to get to the drive. You have more traffic than ever. And to be able to maintain that quality of service is really what administrators are looking for to maintain their service level to their users across all of their applications while efficiently using the storage in their data center. So that 2 millisecond 6 nines spec is something that's really, you know, hard to do and not something that you're going to find on many drives. And to give you an example of what that means in a real world application, if you look at a NoSQL database implementation using RocksDB, we actually were able to show that the 7450, with that quality of service that it delivers at the drive level, then translates to 2.5 better transaction quality of service in a RocksDB NoSQL solution. So you're seeing the translation from, you know, a drive spec into a real application benefit for our customers.
Yeah, I know how hard it is to come up with those types of figures. So kudos to your benchmarking lab to do that. And you know, Jeremy, in the green room, you even pointed out that there are things that are unique about data center SSDs, but there's also some uniqueness in consumer SSDs as well. And that was I would say a shocker to me, but I always thought that, hey, you know, it's mostly unique when it comes to the data center for obvious reasons. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, you know, the different markets that we sell our products into, at the end of the day, we believe what matters is the user experience. And so if you look at who is the user in different consumers of our products, we try to optimize our technology in a way that delivers the best experience for what they're going to do. So for instance, in our consumer or client SSDs, you know, oftentimes people are carrying that around in a laptop. And so what matters to them, right? Boot time, their workloads tend to be bursty, battery life is of critical importance because oftentimes they're just putting it in their backpack and walking down the street, or they're on the road for 12 hours. They want to be able to do everything. You're watching a movie. You don't want any blips. You know, these are the kinds of user experiences that we're optimizing for in that space. But very rarely will you see someone like 24/7 pounding their laptop with writes. You know, you never know. Some people might do their Bitcoin mining overnight on their laptop. I don't know. But in the data center, right, totally different. I mean, these things are always on 24/7. They have power applied. And so, you know, the optimization point in terms of technology is just, it's different, and it's a different focus. And it's amazing that we've been able to take fundamentally the same flash technology and layer on top of it, you know, intelligent software, intelligent controllers in a kind of vertically integrated manner to optimize and deliver value-add solutions for a number of different user experiences.
Yeah, Jeremy, I think that's pretty awesome. I mean, dare I use the word, you know, end customer centric, and how these are different. We started off talking about, you know, you have both of these lines, client and now in the data center out there. At least by my estimation, you're probably 2 years ahead of your competitors, just based on the way that I see them bringing this out. So it's really cool to see that that advantage out there?
Well, I'll say this: paranoia is a way of life for me and for Micron, and so we're not going to rest on our laurels, assuming that we have any lead on the competition. And I think that competition's healthy, and at the end of the day, what really matters is how do we help our customers make better products and better solutions. And so we're really focused on innovation, on driving forward. And every day we come to work and we say, how can we be better? How can we be the best that we can be? And I think that if we push ourselves to the limit every single day and never take a day off, never take a breather, then good things are going to happen. And
wow, I'm motivated.
Yeah.
Do we just drop the mic right now and run out of the room? No. I've got one more question for you, Jeremy. If you can put it's less of a crystal ball because, hey, any gates that have been laid down for 2022, but what's going to happen. Can you talk a little bit about the data center for 2022 and even maybe go more broadly if you'd like?
Sure. So I think what's really interesting when we look, we talked about this acceleration of Gen 4 adoption. We talked about the acceleration and, transition to flash optimized interfaces and form factors. I think one other interesting thing to really talk about in the data center that we're starting to see in 2022 and is going to be a long-term trend is we're laying down the infrastructure now for the eventual complete replacement of hard drives. And there's going to be people out there who don't like that message. We don't make hard drives, so I guess we're in the business of building a better world. But we've projected out into the latter half of this decade because it will take some time for us to develop all the technology, build the ecosystem, prepare the world for the post-spinning world. But what we see is development of the software stack on technologies like ZNS, the adoption of very large SSDs happening in cloud storage. And what this leads to eventually is really good for the planet. So like, for instance, when we do the analysis out in the latter half of the decade, what does it mean if we could replace hard drives with SSDs? 10-to-1 floor space reduction in a data center, over 3-to-1 power savings in a data center. So, as we talk about conservation of energy, conservation of water resources for cooling, land conservation, and just kind of managing the expenses associated with building out all of these massive data centers and having all the power plants, et cetera, to be able to run them. Flash is going to be a huge contributor to making the more efficient data center of the future. And we're seeing that trend beginning now.
No, I love that. It's good for business and good for the environment. And those two combinations seem to work right now. What's really interesting is when you hit that density level and you have people re-architecting their data centers for an all-flash environment and what that can actually mean. I love the discussion on spinning disks going away. And it's just like, man, every 5 years we have every year it's really the discussion and the wheel just keeps turning. It's one of the things I love about technology, Jeremy, and I love about innovation. And you guys with the 176 layer 7450 SSD, you guys are bringing it. And I think I need an 8 terabyte system, 8 terabyte card or unit device for something. So,
well, maybe how about we send you a 16 terabyte instead?
Maybe I won't need another one until 2030. Maybe I don't know.
We'll know. See. The rate that you're creating podcasts, you might need one just in a few more months.
Yeah, exactly. We have a lot of fun doing this, and Jeremy, I really want to thank you for coming on. I mean, every one of our conversations, I get a lot smarter about it. The good news is that it keeps changing. So as long as I keep up with all of the market and your new stuff, I can actually pretend like I know what I'm talking about here. But you really brought it here. Really appreciate you letting us and our viewers be part of your launch today. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we can have you back on the show again.
Well, Pat, likewise, it's really a pleasure to be here. It's always fun to talk to you. You have some great questions, and looking forward to seeing you soon. Keep tuned.
Thanks.
Because we're going to have a lot of big news coming up throughout the year.
Can't wait. This is Pat Moorhead with More Insights and Strategy, signing off with Jeremy Werner, GM and Corporate Vice President of Storage at Micron. We appreciate you tuning in. Let us know what you think. Press that subscribe button. Let me know what you like, maybe some changes that you'd like to see on the show. You know where to find me, pretty much on Twitter. I'm on there way too much. So with that, thanks and have